This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, I couldn't think of anyone that we'd rather have as we come into the close of summer, at least in August, the month of August, than John Kramer. And John has been a guest several times on AuthorU, your guide to book publishing, and we've talked about a variety of things. And one of the things that John not only elegantly displayed, but did such a deep dive at the AuthorU extravaganza this year was on Pinterest. And I certainly have, I'm going to confess, this is my time that I have not really put the energy and the attention into it that I should have. I mean, I've got boards and we do things, but every time I see John come out with some off-the-wall statistic, I thought, okay, I need to get my act together. Twitter's running fine. I really don't care that much about Facebook. It's just not my thing. But Pinterest really is rocking, and I personally believe that every author should get their tush onto there and learn some of the mechanisms of it because of the huge conversion rates that's happened. So John has become this quasi-expert besides just book marketing. He's got one of the best books out there, 1001 Ways to Market Your Books, and he'll update us on when, because I know there's a revision in the works and when that will be available. So with us from New Mexico today is John Kramer. Hi, John. How are you?
Hi, Judith. I'm doing fine.
Good. All right. So there's a lot happening in social media and also marketing books. And I can't think of really anyone who has to stay on top of what's going on in the marketing world besides you. I mean, there's a lot of people say they're book marketing experts, but you really have a huge following and you're kind of the guru out there. And from everything I see, what you're putting out is that if you're not on Pinterest, you're really missing the boat.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, Pinterest is just too active in terms of people that really like to buy things, and it's really got a lot of people. I actually blogged about it, and I talked about there are 7 main reasons why you should be on Pinterest.
Well, I think we'll just kind of wrap our hour around that to go on to it. So, I mean, you actually opened up door number 1. I don't know if that's on your Hot 7 list here, but if you're looking for book buyers, Pinterest is a viable resource for them to land on, correct?
Yes. People on Pinterest, one, they like to buy, but also they love books. So, it's a good reason for both of those things. Pinterest is actually designed to sell things, and that's by design. I mean, they actually focused on helping people to share their wish list, their dreams, their bucket list, and so people are actively pinning the things that they long for, the things that they love, the things that excite them. And it's actually the case that pins with a price on it gets 36% more likes than pins without a price. And that implies that people actually are actively creating shopping lists when they pin things.
So if you're making a board, maybe, and I hope you get into the kind of boards that would be smart for authors to do.
Sure.
But is there, if you have a board, let's say you're an author with just one book, or maybe you have a truckload of different titles and things, should they put their price on the book? Should they do linking directly to whether it's a website or Amazon or B&N or wherever they want to go? Should that be that active on there, or you just kind of turn them loose?
you should do a variety of pins. One of the kinds of pins you do would be directly to your website or book sales page, Amazon sales page. You can literally send the traffic anywhere you want to send it. I prefer to send it to my blog first, to my website, and then from there to my book sales page. Because that way I'm giving them some content to start off with, build some excitement for the book, and then from that page I send them to buy it on Amazon or buy it from my shopping cart.
So do you do a pin? I just want to say, we have a board. Your boards then have different pins you put on them. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, and
okay.
For the people that are listening in and don't know anything about Pinterest, a pin is an image. You can only pin images on Pinterest, so it has to be like a book cover or some other sort of graphic or photo or video. It has to be something that's graphic. So one of the nice things about Pinterest is that it forced me to start thinking graphically because, I'm a writer like you are. Mm-hmm. So, I'm devoted to words, but Pinterest has forced me to think in terms of images as well, and that's really helped improve the look and feel of my website.
Mm-hmm. So when you do a pin that flips them to a blog, it's a specific blog, or is it a blog in general? Because you have a lot of stuff on your website.
When you can pin in two different ways. One is you can upload an image from your computer, in which case you can send it to any link you want to send it to. In the description, there's a place to describe the pin and then also to link it to some web page. Mm-hmm. But the other way is that on your website itself, you can have people pin any page on your website, and then the link to that page goes with the image on Pinterest. It's automatic. Pinterest will add the link to that page when somebody pins any page from your website.
So what I'm hearing you say is every time you do a blog, if you're going to do like your blog and put that on pins, of areas that has a nifty type of image in there that will get their eyeball attention, that you automatically have a pin that's on your blog page, that if people are sharing it, they can do a pin themselves into their own area. Is that possible?
Yes, they can pin it to any one of their boards that they've created. And, that's a really neat thing about it, because when somebody pins an image from your website to a board, they're pinning it to one of their specific boards. And that board is always very, very specific. It's actually one of their targeted interests or one of their hobbies. Because people can create boards for everything that they want, just like you as an author can do the same thing. So I have boards on Pinterest devoted to philosophy, to best books, to amazing authors, to book marketing tips, to writing tips and quotes. I have a board devoted to quotable Oprah Winfrey. So if people love Oprah, they'll find a board that's devoted just to Oprah. I'm hoping she finds it someday and says, "John, I want to interview you."
Exactly. All right. So, but you know what? Your best books, because I picked that up. Your best books now is on my boards. I have you. You're carried now on my Pinterest account.
Yes, and that's because it's a group board. I've invited other authors and publishers to pin to two of the boards that I have that are group boards. A group board means it's simply a board that you invite other people to pin to as well. You still control the board in the sense of you can change the name of it, you can change the description and so on, but you invite other people to pin to it. So I have one called Amazing Authors and one called Best Books. And I've invited other people to pin to it as well. So it's not just me pinning to it, but other people as well. So that shows up. Anybody that belongs to that group, that board shows up on their Pinterest profile.
And how do you create a group?
You simply invite people to pin to a board that you've created. It's that simple.
All right. So you just put it out through your social media ranks saying, okay, everyone come join the party, so to speak.
Either that or you just start inviting people. You can just click on anybody that follows you on Pinterest and that you follow and say, hey, would you like to pin to my board?
Mm-hmm. And how does that, the Pinterest phenom, which is certainly one of the fastest growing ones, I think, how does that rate in the ranking? How do the SEO and the Google gods like it?
Google loves Pinterest. I find that my pins are often highly ranked for keywords that I'm focusing in on. And I've had pins of mine get much higher than anything I've done on Facebook, Google Plus, or Twitter. So the search engines, they like traffic. If something's getting a lot of traffic, that's what they're going to rank as higher. And my pins tend to get a lot of traffic. I have about almost 22,000 people following me on Pinterest now. And I've had over 4 million repins of pins that I've done on Pinterest.
Wow. Well, that's huge. And over what period of time, John?
About 2.5 years now.
Well, I think this is really a good example of the slow and the steady that you start in. I mean, everyone starts with nothing. you have maybe one follower, and then you have a whole, people start piling on and doing that. But it's learning the system, and then starting to see how it works within your own specialty and your expertise, and going out and expanding it, and to get the fact that you've got multi-millions of repins is significant and should get anyone's attention. So I think that we're going to take our first break here, but when we come back, here's one of the things I'd be interested in knowing is how is that monetized for you? Because authors are always going to wonder that. If I'm going to put more energy into something, what is going to be my payback with that? This is Judith Briles. My guest is John Kramer today, and we're talking about Pinterest and why you should be on it. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then the hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at AuthorU.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, we're deep in the heart, and I have an airplane going over me right now, but we're deep in the heart of Pinterest. John Kramer is our guest expert today and author of 1001 Ways to Market Your Books. And John, you are doing a rewrite on that right now, aren't you?
I am. I'm almost done. I should have it done and out by sometime this fall.
Excellent. So it means I think I have about a dozen of your books, so I need to sell those at my event at the that I'm doing actually today and tomorrow and the next day. So we'll do a special deal, knowing that you promise we'll have a replacement this fall.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that sounds great. All right. So with that, Pinterest is the hot place to be, hot place to go. And we were talking about the group boards and how to create those. So you just put out an announcement. Is there some kind of a gadget or widget that people have to do, or they just can automatically go in and just find that board on your page and start adding to it?
They have to accept your invitation, and once they accept the invitation, they're good to go. And they can then, they have to accept it within Pinterest. They'll get a notice that they've been invited. And then they accept, and then they can start to pin to it. It's like it goes, once they accept your invitation, that board goes up onto their profile as one of the options of boards that they can pin to, besides the ones that they've created.
All right, so then you just add to it. And I actually had a board on my own Pinterest board on books I recommend. So when I looked at yours and talking with my VA, what I said to her was, you know what, John's got far more. Why don't we just incorporate all our books and kill this board on ours, and we'll just forward them into yours. So that's what we did.
Yeah, and that's a good strategy because you get more visibility, because when you're a member of a group board, you not only get visibility on your timeline, the people that follow you, but you get visibility to everybody following that particular board. Plus, you get visibility on everybody else's timeline that's a member of that group board. So it multiplies your exposure in many ways. So it's a very good way to be part of Pinterest, is to create some group boards of your own, join some group boards, and of course have some boards that are uniquely your own and only you pin to them.
Mm-hmm. Which is what you should do also on that. And so I'm going to now, with just what you said, I said the tip I'm going to be taking is I'm going to go back and look at my specific boards and say, okay, so this would be fun, and I'm going to figure out how do I do this group invitation. I'm clueless on how to do it. So is there a step? You have to do this through Pinterest. Is that correct?
Yes. Once you create the board, you can click on your board on Pinterest, and there will be a button. I'm just trying to do it myself so I don't make any mistakes. There's a little red thing that says invite. a little red circle that says invite, and so I can start to, on any board you have, you can invite people to be part of that board.
Well, I think that's a brilliant strategy to bring traction to the game plan. And then what you do is you take that, as you said, I mean, you've got an extensive newsletter and put it in blogs. I think I saw it in one of your blogs, and sent you an email saying, I'm in, whatever it is, I'm in. And you just start doing that. And I actually heard it from a couple of my other authors. Did you see John Kramer's invite to be on his Pinterest board? So it created some chatter. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so. And the thing is that it's a very effective way to create relationships with other people as well when you invite them to one of your boards. Back when I first started out and I created my first group board, I invited the guy that founded Craigslist, and he accepted. So he's a pinner on one of my group boards.
So it makes sense to have multiple group boards, to me. I mean,
it does. You don't want to have all group boards because then when people are following you, they're just going to see all the pins from everybody else. So you want to belong to maybe 4 or 5 group boards, and ideally you want ones that have lots of activity, either lots of pinners or lots of followers.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good to me. Okay, so 4 to 4 to 5. All right. Well, I love learning new stuff. All right, so let's pop into some of the things. It is high traffic. What are the latest stats on what's going on? I saw you popping out a few that I actually was retweeting this morning.
Okay. Well, Pinterest has actually it hit 10 million U.S. unique visitors per month, faster than any other website in history. And it now has actually over, in my blog post I said 80 million, but now it's over 100 million monthly active users. The people that like Pinterest love it, and they're on it all the time. It's not like Twitter where somebody joins Twitter and then, they disappear. They tweet for about 2 months and then they say, well, that was fun, and then they go do something else. The people that are on Pinterest and fell in love with it are on it all the time. They come and visit almost every day, and they're repinning things that they love, and that's the thing that's really the power of Pinterest is in the repins. And the repin means that somebody takes a pin that you put up on Pinterest, and they repin it to one of their boards.
Right.
And 80% of pins on Pinterest are repins. That means that people are sharing the things that they love. On Facebook, it's not 80%. On Twitter, it's not 80% of the tweets are not retweets. On Facebook, 80% of the Facebook posts are not shares. They're original things, but it's the repins that create the incredible power of Pinterest in a way, because it's very viral. I mean, I pinned something 2.5 years ago that's still driving 50 to 100 people to my website every day. And that's because people are still discovering that pin and repinning it to one of their boards. Their people see it and go, wow, this is interesting. They go visit your website, and that's how Pinterest becomes so powerful, is that you can pin something once and it can continue to send traffic to you month after month, year after year, as people continue to discover it, repin it, their people find it, they repin it, their people find it, they repin it, and it just keeps going like that.
Which is just really huge to have that.
Yes,
and
it's
to bring
really
along.
The power of Pinterest in a way that I haven't seen any other website do it. It's really designed to share much more virally than, Twitter has its retweets and Facebook has its shares and its comments and its likes, but it's not the same, because those repins actually show up. They don't just not show up. They show up on anybody that repins. It shows up on their board. Everybody that's following them in my experience, about 1% of the people that sees a pin will repin it. But that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people. So it's driving the people there. So what I'm really picking up, this is really kind of a secret sauce. Like a secret sauce of Pinterest is if you've got an 80% repin. Is that what you said, 80% repins?
Yes.
Okay. So if you've got that, and I love the idea of flipping people, so it does make sense to drive them to your website. And then do you have a follow-up pin that then will go along with a book or something? Or are you hoping that they go from your website over to the book and start exploring?
From my website, I have a link. You know, the website page will have some good information, and then it usually has some sort of, hey, if you want to know more, check out my book. And then there'll be a link to usually to Amazon, but also often to my shopping cart where they can buy the book direct from me.
Got it. More money, right?
More money.
Direct sales. I get that totally. All right. So monetizing is really, if you've got a product, I like the idea of pulling them to your website. Hopefully you capture their email address, so then they become someone. I mean, that's the game plan here. So maybe you offer something and the content, and then to the book or whatever product you're trying to move.
Right. And the thing is, you know, that's the reason I like to send people to my website rather than to Amazon, because I can capture their email. And, you know, that's the name of the game in Internet marketing, is getting the person's email, because that's the beginning of a good relationship. It's sort of like the end of Casablanca, where they say, you know, one guy says to the other, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship or something. I'm blowing the line right now, but
that's okay.
It's that kind of thing, you know. If you capture the person's email, you can start to create a relationship with them, not only to sell your book, but to keep reminding them that the book exists and that you exist, and that when they're ready to buy your service, let's say you have a service that you offer as well, maybe you coach people.
Exactly. Let's come back to that. We're going to come back to services, Pinterest, and much more with John Kramer. This is Judith Briles.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
And with me today is John Kramer, the author of 1001 Ways to Market Your Books, which will have a brand new edition before the end of the year. And of course, it'll be filtered with all kinds of goodies about our topic today, which is Pinterest. So we've, looked at kind of, it's a hugely high traffic area. And, my takeaway is that authors are nuts not to be on Pinterest. It's not just for quilting and crafts and cooking, although they certainly get their fair share. Is that not true, John?
Yes, but also automobiles, hunting and fishing. I mean, men have become very much more active on Pinterest than they used to be. It used to be that women dominated Pinterest by 80%. Now it's probably more like 70%. So, if you get things that are of interest to women, you're really golden on Pinterest because it's really that way. But the neat thing is that Pinterest offers targeted traffic because when people repin you, they pin it to a very specific board. And so they're saying, this is related to my love of, baking cookies, let's say, and they have a board devoted to baking cookies.
Exactly.
Now, like if you had a cookbook, let's say a cookbook on baking, you could have one board on baking cookies, one on baking pies, one on doing cakes, one on, a variety of things. So you don't have to have a board just devoted to, say, cookbooks or to baking. You could be very, very specific in the boards that you create. So, like if you're a novelist and you're writing Regency romances, well, why not have a board about Regency costumes or fashion? People would love that. Or, Regency history. Then you could have one on romance novels, and then you could have one on, you could have a variety of ones that are related to your novel. So that you're not just appealing to people that love fiction, but also people that love fashion or Regency food, or Regency architecture. There's so many ways that you could go about it. If your novel is set in England, you could have a board devoted to England.
Mm-hmm. Or hot places to be seduced. I mean, there's...
Yes. and you can see then, how you can attract people to your novel that might not be interested in reading novels per se, but they love travel, or they love fashion, or they love food, or they love history, or whatever it might be, and you have a board related to that, so that you don't have to keep pinning, here's my book cover, here's my book cover, here's my book cover, because that's not going to work. But here's fashion related to my book, here's food related to my book, here's country related to my book, and here's a beautiful castle from England, or something like that. People love sharing that kind of stuff. Or, one of the things that I really love and people love on Pinterest is quotes. They love quotes, and the thing is, you can quote from your novel. Let's say that your main woman character says something really funny. Well, you can share that quote.
Exactly. And share that. And there's a variety of things, and also that it could be, and it doesn't have to be a funny quote. It could be a thoughtful quote. It could be a dilemma quote. There's all kinds of goodies that you could go out with that. So I would be a
quote. So you could have a board devoted to funny quotes, one to romantic quotes, one to thought-provoking quotes. It's very possible, depending on the kind of book you've written, to create 5 or 10 boards related to that book that could draw people in from that may not be directly interested in your book, but will find that they are once you start sharing other things related to that book.
Which could be a lot of fun. So I just think that's great. That opening that up, and again, I love the idea of the group. And then going in, inviting other people that you know are synergistic with what you do, or even writing about the same things, and sharing. Inviting them in to be on your board. You get their energy and their thoughts and takes, and expand your horizon, which I think is terrific.
Right, and the more people that are exposed to your pins or to your boards, the more people that will follow you and then discover all the other things that you do and the other things that you're creative about.
All right, exactly. And one of the things, John, that you talked about, though, and you've kissed on it several times, is that Pinterest is designed to sell stuff.
Right.
So in your strategy is you want to take them to the website, and then that within, whether it's a blog or whatever the content, the link is, whatever opens up will have something then that will have the however you sale pitch there. It's going to be right there versus sending them directly to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or an indie bookstore or what?
I like that because that way I have the opportunity to capture their email, and I also have a bigger opportunity to sell them on my expertise so that when they go to look at the book sales page, they go, wow, he shared so much good information on his website. The book has to be incredible. I'm going to buy it tonight.
Mm-hmm. Right now. Because we can
go now.
Because we can go so fast. And, I saw another one of your tweets says, I can't remember what the number was. It was huge, but certainly I did an updated show on websites earlier this month, how critical it is that your websites be mobile friendly. And because people are buying stuff via their cell phones or smartphones or whatever you want to call them.
Well, on social media, 70% of the traffic on social media, that's Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, come from mobile phones. That's a minimum amount of traffic coming from mobile phones. So if somebody, discovers you on Twitter or Pinterest and then they click through to the link, and they're still on their mobile phone, that they come to your website and it's not mobile friendly, what's going to happen? They're going to leave because they can't read it. Mm-hmm. But if your website is mobile friendly, then they'll look at your page and they may click through to buy what they want. And the thing is that Pinterest converts. People click through on an astounding rate. I mean, I've had some of my pins, some of my images get up to, 1.5 million repins. But some of them have had like 200,000 repins or 100,000 repins. And about 25% of the people that see one of those repins clicks through to my website. I know my traffic to my website. That's an incredible click-through rate when you think about it, because that doesn't happen on YouTube, which is, people often talk about as being viral, but you don't get 25% of the people that see a video clicking through to the website that's related to that video.
Have you seen on your own personal website, since you really jumped into Pinterest, how much traffic have you seen increase that you can really measure from that?
Well, it depends on the website, but some of my websites, 80% of the traffic is coming from Pinterest. Even on my book marketing website, which isn't as highly targeted to Pinterest as, something that's, fitness related or something like that, my book marketing website right now, about 10% of my traffic is coming from Pinterest, which is a nice number. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that, one of the amazing things and something that people don't really realize is how long a Pinterest pin lasts. I actually read somewhere that a Twitter tweet lasts about the half-life of a tweet is 24 minutes. That means that half the people that will see that tweet see it in the first 24 minutes.
I really thought it was shorter.
The half-life of a Facebook post is 90 minutes. That means that half the people that will see that Facebook post see it in the first 90 minutes. But I've had Pinterest pins that have lasted 2 years and continue to send an incredible amount of traffic. I have not read what the half-life of Pinterest pin is, but I know it's much longer lived than a Facebook post or a tweet.
Well, the problem with and then when you go back and you start comparing the different animals, the critters in the social media barnyard, is that with the Twitter feed, everything goes out, but depending upon how much action is going on, it's even going to push it down even faster from the person who's pushing it out. If you don't have a lot of people in your own Twitter feed that you're following, it'll hang out longer. That's one thing. Facebook is such a different animal because that you may have a gazillion followers, but those gazillion followers are not going to see the stuff that you put up because the Facebook gods have decided how many people they're going to let into the barnyard.
Right.
Which I don't get.
Don't do that.
Yes.
On Pinterest, a pin is seen by everybody that follows you. And it lasts. The neat thing about Pinterest pin is that if somebody repins it, it's like reactivating that pin. It's sort of like a whole new tweet. Just like, if somebody retweets you, that tweet is put out to all their followers, and that again gives it a new life. But on Pinterest, it's designed to be repinned in a very active way, whereas Twitter, they sort of stumbled onto retweets because the people themselves created retweets. Twitter didn't do that. But on Pinterest created repins. And they support it. So, it's a different thing. I noticed that, like, when you tweet, about your podcast, you tweet it 100 times maybe. I don't know how often, but it's a lot.
It goes
that's
out.
The strategy under Twitter. In Pinterest, you can do it once and have a lot of impact, but on Twitter, you got to retweet and retweet.
Exactly, and you because you have to be toned into the time zones. Totally different animal. We'll be right back. It's Judith Briles, John Kramer, and Pinterest.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today. 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207. Or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
When I think of social media and the retweets, repins, or sharing, whatever we want to call it for whatever the genre is out there, that you don't always hear that they're fun. Sometimes, just sharing this is good information, you ought to know about it. But one of the things I hear a lot of times, John Kramer, who is my guest this evening, this afternoon, whatever time zone you're in listening here, is that people have a lot of fun with Pinterest. Is that correct, John?
Yes. It's one of the reasons that you get such strong, avid people, being part of Pinterest and coming back to it day after day is because they enjoy it. And I've actually enjoyed it, and I'm not a big social media person. I tend to spend, 10, 20 minutes a day on social media maximum. And a lot of that spent on Pinterest because it's so pretty. It's all images, and so you can very quickly scan through and find what you want and things that interest you in a very visual way. And because you can create boards for every interest that you have, and that's what I've done. So I have boards for optical illusions. I don't sell anything. Well, actually, I do have a book related to it, but I don't sell it that actively. But, I have interest for a lot of things, and one of the boards that has drawn a lot of interest for me is a board called Fitness Matters. And I stumbled into it because of one of the pins that I created that was book-related. It was for Bob Harper's The Skinny Rules. And that's a pin that's gotten over 1.5 million repins.
Wow.
And driven, and still drives a lot of traffic to my website. So one of my websites, Infographic a Day, which was originally devoted to infographics, has essentially become a fitness website because that's where the traffic is coming from because of my fitness pins, my fitness infographics. And so I've become, by default, a fitness expert. And, if you look at me, you wouldn't believe it.
I know.
Because I'm still overweight, But I'm a fitness expert now because of what I share. And that really does make a difference. And so you can stumble into things that will ultimately lead you to possibly, I'm working on a book on fitness.
Which is a kick.
At some point I will sell because I have the audience hungry for that.
Absolutely, which makes it fun. But I've always, I have to tell you, when I'm looking for, I like to cook. One of the things is I cook. I'm not a chef, but I'm a good cook, and I do a lot there. And I always go into Pinterest, looking around for cool recipes. for different things if I've got something that I want to play with a little bit. And there's certainly amazing things, but I think because of the image, the whole thing of flowing from it's got an image visually, you can see it quickly, it hooks people in and brings them in, and then they'll follow it along. So
if you've got, if you're a clipwork author, you have to be on Pinterest because
absolutely
the images of food just make people salivate and they click through, and
yeah.
I do it all the time because I see a great looking pie or something like that, or a great looking smoothie or a great looking salad. I mean, salads can look incredibly delicious.
Absolutely. And well, it's eye candy. And so to some Pinterest stuff, there's eye candy, and then there has information, and eye candy, and then it can give you belly candy or it can give you mind candy with it, action candy.
But it starts as eye candy, and one of the things that I teach, I created a course on Pinterest, a real fast Pinterest, to teach people about how to pin, because one of the things is that you can make your eye candy also stimulating, so that people want to click through to your website when they see what you have. And there's a whole strategy to the kind of eye candy that you share.
And so is that on a webinar? Where can they get that course, John?
Well, right now, if they want to, they can go to realfastpinterest.com. But they'll pay more for the course if they go there. We have regular webinars, and I'll have one coming up soon. On it, and I'll let you know so that you can let people know.
All right. So, because you used to have one on, if they went to danielhallwebinars.com/pin replay, is that still open?
And that will be cheaper there, and that's still active. It's not quite as current as our latest webinars, but it's still good. It's still a good webinar, and it'll give them access to the course.
Okay. Well, that will work out. Okay. So before we leave, we need to talk about converts. You mentioned several times how you've gotten, 100 to many thousands of repins, and your fitness one has had 1.5, which has now made you by default a teddy bear fitness expert. Get that? I get that totally. But you've got click-through rates of 2% up to 25%, and that's been able to be monetized with your coaching, with the classes you do. You've been able to see a really trigger domino factor with all that?
Yes. I mean, the main thing is that you have to decide how you're going to monetize that traffic. The most important thing is to capture the email address, I think, because that gives you the long-term opportunity to re-engage with that person on an ongoing basis. But the thing is that once you get people to, Pinterest is all about traffic. It sends people to your website. Once they get to your website, if your website is designed well, it's going to convert that traffic to, somebody that follows you, somebody that signs up for your email, or somebody that buys your book, or whatever else you have to service. Like we talked about earlier, you can offer services as well within Pinterest. It's a very easy thing to do. So I get a lot of business from Pinterest for my book marketing consulting services, just like you could get it for your services for book shepherding.
Sounds good to me. So sounds like I need to go take a course.
And the really neat thing now is that Pinterest has what's called a buy button. It allows people to actually buy the product without leaving Pinterest.
Well, that just sounds smart to me. Because if one of the challenges is that, and I don't, if you leave wherever you're leaving, you've left it. Now you've got to put the energy in to come back in, whether you log in or however you go back in. So I think that if you really have something, if your goal is to sell, and primary goal is to sell, not to try to capture the email, not to do whatever it is, then why not make it simple? I mean, they can choose to ignore it anyway, but why not make it simple for them?
Yeah. But the neat thing is it's sort of like Pinterest is like Twitter in that you can continue to, like you retweet different tweets about the same thing. You can repin about the same book or the same book, the blog post. You can do different pins related to that blog post so that you can continue to pit.
John, did I lose you? Are we out there? So one of the things is that if we want to do is we want to go in and look at on the repinning, and we may have lost John here, waiting to hear from my producer on that. So it is that you want to really look at doing the buy. You also want to look at where you make pins. I'm going to make some recommendations.
Can you hear me, Judith, now?
No, I didn't hear you. So you're back. Great. Okay.
Okay.
So we're at the buy button, and I was just going to go in and fill in. So,
well, the thing is that Facebook and Twitter are also going to have buy buttons at some point, but they're not designed to sell the way that Pinterest, from the ground, was designed to sell. And that's the really neat thing about it is that Pinterest, people on Pinterest are not afraid to see money involved or somebody pitching something. On Facebook, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to unfollow you because all you talk about is your book. But on Pinterest, that doesn't matter because they're there to find things that they fall in love with, to find things that they're going to buy, to find things that places they're going to visit at some point or want to visit. And so Pinterest was designed to be commercial from the beginning, whereas Facebook and Twitter weren't. And so they're still designing themselves to be more commercial.
Well, I think that a lot of people don't realize that, John, that the idea is that you can be blatant here. But if you're going to be blatant, I think both of us would recommend you need to do it with variation and all that. And, one of the things I wanted to ask you, like, for example, when I make boards or my posters and things like that we use for a variety of things, I'll use either Canva or PicMonkey. What are you using to design some of your boards?
The actual pins, the images.
Yeah.
In most cases, I'm using Microsoft Word.
Okay. There you go.
But then I'll tweak it in Photoshop or something like that. I think Canva is a good tool. There are a lot of different graphic tools out there that work really nicely, like you said. But I do it in Microsoft Word because I do a lot of quotes, and I just create them. It's all words, and so then I create it in Microsoft Word. I format it so it looks pretty, and then I do a screen capture to create it as an image.
All right, so John, we have about 20 seconds, so let's go through those 7 things very quickly of why people should be on Pinterest.
Okay, number 1 is because Pinterest has an incredible amount of traffic and really dedicated users, so it's not just traffic that's passive traffic, it's active traffic. 2, Pinterest is viral. That's because 80% of the pins are repins.
Okay. Oh, here we go. So number 3 is lots of targeted traffic.
Targeted traffic.
Long time.
People are pinning directly to a particular board.
And it's fun.
Number 4, pins last a long time.
Right.
Number 5, Pinterest is designed from the ground up to sell things. Number 6, Pinterest is fun, so people come back to it often. And number 7, Pinterest